Family Affair, a classic American television series from the 1960s, touched the hearts of millions with its story of love, family bonds, and complex relationships. More than just a tale of kinship, the show portrayed the emotional transformations of each character, taking viewers on a journey through deep and heartfelt emotions. However, the bright lights of the stage could not hide the tragic shadows behind the scenes. The cast of Family Affair faced heartbreaking misfortunes and devastating losses that left audiences in shock and sorrow. The stars who once brought laughter and warmth to the screen endured real-life tragedies, with sorrow piling upon sorrow. In this video, we will uncover the heartbreaking real-life stories they endured, from irreplaceable losses and emotional turmoil to shocking and tragic fates no one could have foreseen. Let us revisit their journey, not only to mourn but to honor the legacy they left behind after the show. Brian Keith, born in 1921, was a towering presence in Family Affair as Uncle Bill Davis, the wealthy, globe-trotting bachelor who unexpectedly found himself raising his late brother's 3 orphan children. With his rugged charm and deep voice, Keith became the heart of the series, effortlessly portraying both strength and tenderness. Before and after Family Affair, he enjoyed a prolific career in Hollywood, starring in films like The Parent Trap, 1961, and Nevada Smith, 1966, as well as TV shows such as Hardcastle and McCormick. Despite his professional success, Keith's personal life was riddled with hardship. Married 3 times, he experienced both joy and profound sorrow in his family life. The greatest tragedy struck in 1997 when his daughter committed suicide, an event that devastated him beyond repair. Just months later, suffering from lung cancer and emphysema, Keith took his own life at the age of 75, leaving behind a note expressing his pain and exhaustion. His death marked a sorrowful end for the actor who had brought so much warmth to the screen. Shirley O'Hara, born in 1924, was one of those actresses whose presence on screen was always familiar, yet her name remained largely unknown to the general public. In Family Affair, she appeared in a single episode in 1966 as Alice Garrison, a fleeting role in a career that often placed her on the periphery of Hollywood's golden era. She worked steadily in film and television, taking on minor but memorable roles in projects like The Asphalt Jungle, 1950, and Rocky II, 1979. Despite her professional dedication, O'Hara's life behind the scenes was filled with struggles common among actresses of her time. Hollywood was a difficult place for women, and though she had talent, she was often typecast or overlooked. Her personal relationships were no less turbulent, romantic entanglements that never quite led to lasting happiness, a career that demanded sacrifices, and a life that, despite its glamour, was often isolating. As she aged, the industry moved on, and roles became scarce. In 2002, at the age of 78, she passed away in Calabasas, California. The details of her later years remain obscure, much like the way Hollywood slowly dimmed the spotlight on her. Yet, those who knew her work remember her not just for her roles, but for the perseverance of a woman who fought to stay in an industry that rarely made room for actresses beyond their prime. Ida Lupino, born in 1918, was more than just an actress, she was a trailblazer in Hollywood, one of the first female directors in a male-dominated industry. In Family Affair, she made a brief but memorable appearance in 2 episodes as Lady Marchwood, bringing her signature poise and gravitas to the role. Long before her guest stint on the show, Lupino had already made a name for herself in classic films like They Drive By Night, 1940, and High Sierra, 1941, often portraying strong yet tormented women. Behind the camera, she directed groundbreaking films such as The Hitchhiker, 1953, earning a reputation as a pioneer. But despite her professional achievements, her personal life was fraught with turmoil. Married 3 times, including to actor Howard Duff, her relationships were often strained, riddled with infidelity and emotional distress. Lupino battled health issues throughout her later years, including a series of strokes that left her frail. She spent her final days in relative obscurity, struggling with financial difficulties and declining health. In 1995, at the age of 77, she died of a stroke in Los Angeles, a tragic end for a woman who had shattered barriers but never truly escaped the hardships of life. Sebastian Cabot, born in 1918, lent his signature British refinement and authoritative air to the role of Mr. Giles French, the meticulous and devoted butler in Family Affair. His portrayal of the stern yet affectionate caretaker became iconic, embodying a character both comedic and touching. Cabot had already established himself as a respected actor, lending his rich, velvety voice to animated classics like The Jungle Book, 1967, where he voiced Bagheera, and playing memorable roles in The Time Machine, 1960, and Dr. Dolittle, 1967. Behind the distinguished presence, however, was a man battling severe health issues. Plagued by weight-related complications and a series of strokes, Cabot struggled through his later years, his declining health forcing him into early retirement. His final years were spent largely out of the public eye, and in 1977, at the age of 59, he passed away from a stroke in a California hospital. The loss of his commanding presence was deeply felt in Hollywood, leaving behind a legacy of warmth and wisdom that belied the struggles he endured. Bill Zuckert, born in 1915, was a familiar face on television, known for his deep voice and authoritative presence. In Family Affair, he played Harold Heiger in 2 episodes, a minor role in a long career filled with guest appearances in some of the most beloved TV series of the time, including Gunsmoke, Star Trek, and Bonanza. Though never a leading man, Zuckert was a respected character actor, always bringing credibility to the roles he inhabited. Yet his life was one of quiet struggle, overshadowed by the transient nature of Hollywood. Work was steady but never secure, and his career never soared to the heights he may have once dreamed of. His personal life, though more private than many of his contemporaries, was not without hardship. As he aged, opportunities dwindled, and health issues took their toll. In 1997, at the age of 82, he passed away from pneumonia, his death a quiet exit from an industry that had so often overlooked the steady, reliable talents like him. Anissa Jones, born in 1958, was the darling of Family Affair, bringing the sweet and lovable Buffy Davis to life with an innocence that endeared her to millions. With her signature pigtails and ever-present Mrs. Beasley doll, she became one of television's most beloved child stars. But behind the angelic smile was a life unraveling long before Hollywood stopped calling. When Family Affair ended, Anissa, like so many child actors before her, found herself adrift. Typecast and struggling to transition into more mature roles, she quickly became disillusioned with the industry. Her home life was no refuge. Her parents' bitter divorce left her caught in the middle, and the pressure of supporting her family from such a young age took its toll. By her teenage years, she had turned to drugs, rebelling against the wholesome image that had once defined her. She longed for a normal life but found only heartbreak, her relationships were fleeting, and her struggles with substance abuse deepened. On August 28, 1976, at just 18 years old, Anissa's life came to a tragic end when she died of a drug overdose. It was a devastating conclusion to a story that had once seemed so full of promise. A symbol of lost childhood innocence, her brief but unforgettable time in the spotlight remains a cautionary tale of the harsh realities of child stardom. Nancy Walker, born in 1922, was a force of nature, known for her quick wit and impeccable comedic timing. In Family Affair, she appeared in 6 episodes as Emily Turner, bringing her signature blend of humor and warmth to the show. A seasoned actress with a career spanning decades, Walker was beloved for her roles in Macmillan and Wife, Rhoda, and as Rosie in the iconic Bounty paper towel commercials. Despite her immense success, her personal life was marked by difficulties. Married to vocal coach David Craig, she never had children, a topic she reportedly carried deep sadness over. Her relentless career left little time for personal fulfillment, and while adored by audiences, she often struggled with feelings of loneliness. In 1992, at the age of 69, Walker was diagnosed with lung cancer. She fought bravely but succumbed to the disease later that year, leaving behind a legacy of laughter that masked the struggles she faced behind the curtain. Paul Sorensen, born in 1926, was a journeyman actor whose face became more recognizable than his name. In Family Affair, he appeared in a single episode in 1968 as Mr. Bowers, a brief role in a career that spanned over 4 decades. Sorensen built his reputation playing tough guys, lawmen, and villains in countless television series, from Gunsmoke to Dallas, where he played Andy Bradley. While his professional life was filled with steady work, his personal life was marked by struggles familiar to many character actors, endless auditions, financial uncertainty, and the nagging reality of being easily forgotten in Hollywood. Though married for many years, his career often kept him away from home, leading to periods of isolation. As he aged, roles became scarce, and the industry moved on. In 2008, he passed away at the age of 82, succumbing to undisclosed health complications. His death, like much of his career, went largely unnoticed, a quiet farewell to a man who had spent his life on the fringes of stardom. Heather Angel, born in 1909, embodied grace and refinement, bringing poise to her role as Miss Faversham, the proper yet warm-hearted woman who occasionally appeared in Family Affair. Her career began in the early days of Hollywood, starring in films such as The Hound of the Baskervilles, 1932, and Pride and Prejudice, 1940, as well as lending her voice to Disney's Alice in Wonderland, 1951, as Alice's mother. Behind her composed exterior, however, lay a life of heartache. Her first husband, director Ralph Forbes, passed away young, leaving her a widow. But the deepest tragedy struck in 1953 when her second husband, actor Henry Wilcoxon, was murdered in a home invasion, a trauma that left Angel deeply scarred. Though she continued working, the weight of loss never fully left her. In 1986, at the age of 77, she passed away from cancer. A woman of elegance and quiet sorrow, her life was one of both artistic achievement and profound personal loss. Richard Bull, born in 1924, was a steady, reliable presence in the entertainment industry, best known for his warm yet authoritative performances. In Family Affair, he took on various minor roles across 3 episodes between 1967 and 1969, blending seamlessly into the show's refined world. Though his roles in the series were small, his career was anything but. He became beloved by audiences as Nels Olson in Little House on the Prairie, a role that cemented his place in television history. Unlike many of his peers, Bull avoided the tumult of Hollywood scandals, remaining married to actress Barbara Collentine for over 65 years. Despite his stable marriage, the industry itself could be unkind, often typecasting him as secondary figures rather than leading men. As he aged, health issues began to plague him, and in 2014, at the age of 89, he passed away from pneumonia. His death marked the loss of a quiet, dependable talent, a man whose contributions to television were often underappreciated but never forgotten by those who had watched him bring life to every role he played. Kathy Garver, born in 1945, became a household name as the responsible and caring Sissy Patterson Davis in Family Affair, a role that defined her early career. As the eldest sibling in the series, she exuded warmth and poise, resonating with audiences who saw in her the perfect blend of maturity and youthful charm. But behind the camera, Garver's life was not always as picture-perfect. Unlike many child actors of her time, she managed to avoid the tragic pitfalls of Hollywood but not without struggles of her own. She continued acting, though never reclaiming the level of fame Family Affair had given her, and transitioned into voice work, narrating audiobooks and lending her voice to animated series. Her romantic life, however, was far from smooth. Though she eventually married and had a son, she experienced heartbreak and setbacks in her personal relationships, enduring years of solitude before finding stability. Now in her late 70s, she remains active in the entertainment industry, attending fan conventions and celebrating the legacy of the show that made her famous, all while carrying the weight of the past with grace. Johnny Whitaker, born in 1959, was the adorable, red-haired Jodie Patterson Davis in Family Affair, capturing hearts with his mischievous grin and innocent charm. But childhood fame rarely guarantees happiness, and Whitaker's life took a series of dark turns after the show ended. As he grew older, he struggled to find his place in an industry that had outgrown him. The transition from child star to adult actor proved brutal, leading him into personal turmoil, including battles with addiction that nearly cost him everything. His romantic life suffered as well. His marriage ended in divorce, a devastating loss that sent him spiraling further into self-destruction. Eventually, he found a new purpose, dedicating himself to helping others overcome addiction, becoming a counselor, and advocating for former child stars who faced similar demons. Though he has rebuilt his life, the scars of his past remain, a haunting reminder of how quickly Hollywood can give and take away. Now in his 60s, he continues to share his story, hoping to guide others away from the same darkness he once knew too well. What do you think about the deaths of the actors from Family Affair, 1966 to 1971, and who do you remember the most? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to watch the latest videos.